people, everybody's just going to be scratching their heads like, and they're going to find a reason to complain. I mean, that's just my opinion, though.
Well, and I don't want to be quoted on this because I'm not 110% sure, but I'm pretty sure that Avatar is an original screenplay. I'm also pretty sure E.T. is an original screenplay, and Titanic, I'm not for sure. Titanic almost seemed like it was a book first, but I don't know. Just by the narration and everything, it felt like it was a book. If that's something we could maybe get on our podcast right now and kind of look that up a little bit, that would be great. But it would be interesting, too, because having an original screenplay is very rare nowadays. We don't see many. We see everything either based off comic books, based off of some other storybook, based off of a series. And maybe having that originality kind of makes it so people can't complain as much, because you really can't fight the logistics and the world of Avatar, because all you know is what they showed you. So it's like they have a whole nother, I mean, they made a whole language and everything, but it's like unlike, I know either Star Wars or Game of Thrones, I might have some languages that they make up, but they all have books that they have to go off of, and so if someone's like, oh, well, that wording was weird, oh, this was bad, oh, this was off, it's like people can actually go into their own fandom and check you. But on these original storylines, original screenplays, you really can't do that. So maybe that's kind of where you're seeing what you were saying with people critiquing and people fighting people about whatnot, because you can if you have a book about it. If my comic book hero that I've read for 20 years is acting differently and doing something, killing or doing something weird that he never did before, I'm going to have a problem with it. But if this weird alien race is doing something that's crazy, I'm like, oh, this is how they are, because this is all I know about them, you know?
Right. Well, I'm looking at some of the information. It looks like it is, like you said, it's an original screenplay. It doesn't seem like it's based off of anything book-wise, series-wise, or anything. But, oh my gosh, I looked at this detail right here from Wikipedia. It said development of Avatar began in 1994 when James Cameron wrote an 80-page treatment for the film. Jeez Louise, I've seen a lot of scripts have a lot of pages in them, but 80-page treatment for this entire film, basically going off of what this movie was going to be about. That's just insane. And one of the reasons why they didn't do it, I guess their plan was that they wanted to do it after Titanic, but I guess Cameron said that the necessary technology is not available to achieve the vision for the film, which I'm glad that he waited, because he did create something just flat out amazing. And I can only imagine what it would have been like if he had, still went right away after Titanic.
Oh, yeah, that would have been totally different. Just to comment on the 80 pages, I don't necessarily know what a treatment would be, but usually for scripts, each page is almost kind of how long the movie is going to be. So most directors or screenplay writers or whatnot write a page per minute. And so 80 pages would be an 80-minute film, technically, just throwing it up in the air. So knowing that Avatar turned out to be at 200 and something, I think it was like 2.5 hours, maybe, give or take. So he expanded on that immensely, but it could have been because of the learning the CGI and the effects that they could do. Like, he's like, might as well, let's make it bigger and better. And I agree. James Cameron, he did something right.
Yeah, the movie ran about 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's just insane that somebody wants to sit for that one.
Too.
Almost 3 hours. Holy cow.
It was good, though. It was, for me, I felt like it needed to be. I could almost see it being even longer. I'm surprised they probably had to cut out a ton. So.
Gosh, yeah. So one movie that actually is still out right now, technically, even though it's coming out on DVD, I think next week, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, is the movie Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, and worldwide it raked in about $1 billion, and all in all, I mean, I've talked about this movie in the past, the review for it. This was a different Star Wars than what we're used to seeing, and I think, again, it's because of that originality that made it so successful. I mean, next to, Star Wars: Force Awakens and probably Star Wars The Last Jedi coming out later on this year, Rogue One definitely provided a different feel from what people are used to. They're used to, the whole Jedi deal. They're used to the Force. This is probably the first time I ever remember seeing a movie where the Force was not necessarily implied, unless Darth Vader came around, which he only showed up maybe once or twice during that movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Obviously, I don't cosplay Star Wars, so I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I know it's probably people are like, "You crazy?" I've just never been technically passionate about Star Wars as much as obviously the whole world is. but yeah, I'm going to see it when it comes out. I just didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. I do know that Darth Vader gets in there and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it was the best part, blah, blah, blah." Oh, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm excited to see him at the end. Thanks for telling me." No, I've heard great things, and obviously it grossing that much money means people liked it.
Well, let's actually talk a little bit about one of movies that might actually probably hit more closer to home, and that being... I'm seeing this right? Okay. So basically, according to... Okay, so for those of you that haven't guessed right now, we've been taking this list off of boxofficemojo.com, and that's where we're getting a lot of these numbers. And one of the things that actually kind of surprises me is that on number 17 is the movie The Dark Knight Rises. I didn't notice that until now, and I'm thinking, wait, what? How did that score higher than the original Dark Knight, which I believe it's 28? Holy cow! Because I don't know, Dark Knight Rises was one of those movies that I don't know. It felt kind of weird to me. I don't know what exactly it was about it. It just didn't feel like it was as good as its predecessor, being The Dark Knight. But I don't know. Did you get a chance to see Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw all of the Batman trilogy. I liked it. I know that some people were like, "Oh, the things that Bane did and said and stuff was sometimes a little ridiculous," and there was a lot of people that could pull it apart. Kind of going to go off of what I said previous of when you deal with something that was already created and has been created for decades. People can do that, so people can pull your movie apart, and they have the right to do that. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed Anne Hathaway's take on Catwoman. I cosplay her take on Catwoman. I love that she just had the natural brown hair, so I don't have to put on a wig. Heck yes. And then the goggles that are kind of more seated on top of her head and just used as more of a gadget was really cool. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. I think it's interesting though that it grossed better than The Dark Knight, which was number 2 in the Batman trilogy, which everybody loved.
Yeah, I mean, Heath Ledger did such an amazing job as the Joker. I think that was the main thing that really, that really kind of made it an interesting movie for me. Was just you see the Joker as such this kind of wacky, goofy guy, but then you look at this movie and he's like a legit psychopath, which makes you think, oh wow, that just makes you think, holy cow, that is unexpected. I'm interested in how they went down this path, and yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Heath Ledger had to go through so much training just to get that kind of mindset, and spot on him. God rest the man's soul for creating one of the most insane characters of all time.
Oh yeah, and I think that also, as much as this sounds like it sounds bad, I think his death actually helped the movie. I mean, people were like, I want to see the role that kind of took his sanity from him. Like, they had a theory that, of course, he was going through some sort of depression and stuff. If you take your own life, there's something, or at least I hope there's something that was mentally wrong, and I hope it wasn't ever anyone, causing someone to actually want to take their own life. It's so sad, but I think knowing that his sanity was only so after his total commitment to the Joker, people were really enticed to go see this, and they were like, I want to see how crazy his Joker really is, and it lived up to the hype. I loved it. I've actually seen people cosplay this, and one of my first cons that I've ever cosplayed at, I did my first Catwoman ever. It was in St. Louis. It was a St. Louis Wizard World, which is right around the bend. I'm so excited. I'm about to go to that. And a guy decided to do the Heath Ledger Joker, and he was so amazing, so spot on, that I actually was afraid of him. He had a knife that was totally fake, but it was one of those realistic prop knives. So he would take it out and put it at you, like point it at you and be like, I want to put a smile on your face. But he said it exactly like how Heath Ledger. He had the crazy hair that like looked super greasy and nasty. And it was, and I legit ran away from him. And then I told my sister, and she went up to him. She's like, you better stop messing with my sister. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it like that. And he turned into the sweetest, nicest guy. And he was like, I'm literally just, I'm sorry. I got into character and I do that. I was like, this is a legit cosplayer. This guy's crazy. Like, it's awesome. Like, he did such, and I apologized after. I was like, sorry, but you, like, I didn't know it was a fake knife. You just pulled a knife on me and told me I'm going to put a smile on your face. And I was Catwoman, so I was like, what the heck? Get away from me. But himself, he acted just like how Heath Ledger acted, and it was scary. In real life, it is scary to see people like that.
Well, some people are very committed to cosplaying. Like you said, some people really just live and breathe and eat just the way that people that they, admire and people that they really wanted to, impersonate. And to hear that is like, holy cow. I mean, all honesty, to you who actually did that, I applaud that. That's really amazing for you to still have that kind of vibe and just make, and to make you run, that's saying another thing, because I know that it takes a lot.
Real life.
Right.
Like, dude. And then you showed me it was plastic, but I'm still like, maybe you shouldn't do that. I don't know.
Well, here was something that I talked to you about last week, and this is one of those things where it still kind of scratches both of our heads, because we're like, how did this happen? I mean, granted, one movie was not as good as the other, but still, how did this happen? And that being on the list of most highest grossing in the world, 49 is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Kind of could still see why it was still that high up. At least it's still within the top 50, but above it is The Secret Life of Pets. And this was one of those moments where we're just kind of like, ouch. I mean, granted, Secret Life of Pets was not, one of the best kids movie that I've ever seen. I mean, it was funny, but I think that was only because of Kevin Hart. No offense to all the other actors, but I mean, Kevin Hart is a white bunny. That just stole it for me. I couldn't find a reason to hate that character, but I don't know. It's kind of weird, because how the movie was basically, how they put it out. See, domestic total growth. Okay, so for worldwide, it was about 875 million, and for Batman vs. Superman, it's 873 million. So, geez Louise, I mean, $2 million, how much of a difference that makes. But at the same time, again, it's still one of those things that kind of confuses me. It's like, why are people more drawn to The Secret Life of Pets than, Batman vs. Superman? It's kind of a conflicting deal to me. It's like, I can understand why, but at the same time, why? It just, I don't get it. I do not get it.
Well, it never helps to have so much negativity surrounding a movie. People were upset about this movie before it came out. Like, people were already saying, like, it sucks. It's bad. critics were coming out saying it's not good.